You talked about coaching Jamarcus at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like being around Jameis?
Jameis was. I don't know if I've ever been around anybody who prepared like Jameis at a young age. Jameis and Jameis never lost confidence, and it wasn't arrogance. It was pure confidence in himself. Even if he made a mistake, he knew he could do something about it and knew how to keep it in perspective. But I always tell this about James. People say, well, he was gifted. He could do this. Oh, this is a true story. This is how he did every day. His preparation, say if we had Monday we did a lot of work. We were in shorts and shell. Tuesday and Wednesday were grind days. And like Tuesday was first down, second down days, play action, goal line, short yardage days. Third down was red zone, tight zone, third down, all that type, 2 minute, that type stuff. Say, for instance, after Tuesday practice, we'd have one of those long practices. He'd go eat lunch or go eat dinner, and we'd be up there, our staff, when we'd eat and start watching the film and start preparing for third down the next day and red zone and all that stuff. And Jameis would go watch his practice film. Then he would start on his own till 10, 11 at night. Downstairs, he'd be downstairs in the same room, never leave the building, and still preparing to 10, 11 at night for third down the next day. And I'd get a knock, and he'd know I'd let the staff go at 10 most of the time on those nights. And I'd stay a little bit extra, I had some stuff to do, and I'd always get a knock on the door. Coach, today, these 4 things I did wrong. On this play, I should have did this, did you see anything else? That'd be that at 10 o'clock that night. I'd say no, or whatever. If I saw something, I didn't see something. No, I still think you're okay there if you do this. He'd say, okay, tomorrow we got 3rd and 3. I like these 4 things. 3rd and 6, I like these. 3rd and 9, I like these things. Red zone, I like this. Tight zone, I like this. Is there anything? I'm just saying some things I like going in to help you on your game plan. His preparation and the relationship he and I had to be able to communicate like that. And I would go to him and say, okay, I like these 3 things you got. I don't like this one. I see, because I always believe this. As a play caller, I may like it, but if you didn't like it, as a play caller, as a quarterback, it's hard for you to believe in it. You know what I'm saying? But then if there's things I said, Jameis, he just said, I said, Jameis, but look at this. If we do this, can you give me these 2 plays? Here, yes. I'll give you these. I'll call these for you. I like those 2. I don't like this one. I like these 2. Yeah, I need this. We would work like that all the time. In the first plays of the game, are you comfortable with these? Do you like these? And I even said to Rashad, Rashad and things you like, Freeman, you like to stretch better, you like to power, you like to counter. Tried to run things, if you could, that fit those things. But Jameis's preparation, his mindset, his overall confidence, and the confidence he exuded into the guys around him.
Yeah, fast.
I always say this about James. People always say this about Jameis. Tell me something about Jameis. I said, he knew every janitor in the building. He knew every lady that worked in the building. He knew everybody that was in the making lunch and dinner. I said, he knew every walk-on the team. He knew every guy was a star. If it was a stars or a walk-on or the janitor of the building or a worker in the building or a secretary, he knew everybody. And he treated everybody the same. He never put himself above things. And one of the things I always said, Jameis got himself in trouble, he never saw himself as a superstar. As crazy as that sounds. He knew he was good, but he just liked being a guy, like one of the guys. And tell me if I'm wrong, Freddie.
It's after he won the Heisman, I remember guys walking up, and he was going around the walk-ons and like, you guys, like, you were part of this. Hold the trophy, take pictures, do whatever you need to do. That was Jameis.
He was as genuine as the day is long. He's a true people person, and I was blessed to have ever been part. We had some great ones. Ponder was great. EJ was great. He was great. Francois was great. Sean McGuire won some big games for us during that time.
Sean was a dog, man. You talk about just relentless, man. I had a lot of respect for Sean, man.
How he played and how tough he was, and the games he stepped in that year when James remember the Clemson game, played the big games, threw for 300 yards that game, and played. But remember Jameis the night before helping him prepare. You know what I'm saying? That team. What I'm saying is, we were a true team.
Yeah.
There wasn't separate agendas on that group of guys, in my opinion, and I think. And this, I coached. I was on you guys like crazy. I pushed, challenged, yelled, cussed, hollered, but I always tried to put my arm around you when I walked off to tell you why and how. And then it's going to pay off when we get in these situations, and it did for all those years, and we were blessed. But I always appreciate you guys for allowing us to push you like. A lot of guys don't want to be pushed like that.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't want to be coached like that. You know what I'm saying? But that was a Florida State standard. You go back to the Mickey Andrew days. Them guys tell you the old stories about Mickey now. He was one of the greatest coaches in college. Not only Coach Bowden on offense and that whole thing, but Mickey on defense, one of the legends in the game to ever do things, and how he coached them. Man, he made me look soft some days. You know what I mean?
I hear the story.
But I always never wanted us to go into a game. I always believe toughness, the effort, the discipline, and the pride. But then just because you're tough don't mean you can't be skilled, and it don't mean you can't be intelligent. And I think those teams, people don't realize this. If you go back and look in the last 90 years of football, do you know that's the most dominant team in NCAA history? Point differential. See, LSU broke our record by most points in a season by 1 point, but they played an extra game.
And not only that, so like you mentioned earlier,
we called the dogs off at halftime. We weren't trying to do it. We didn't know. That's just what we played. But you remember, we led the country in defense that year in scoring. Our point differential was 39 points a game. The largest top 5 deficit, the 51-14 game. Largest top 25 deficit, the Maryland 62-0 game. They were top 25, being 62-0. Beat Clemson 51-14, who was 2 top 5 teams who finished in the top 5. I mean, those teams, remember the NC State game, we were up 35-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean, I'm just saying how dominant that team wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? Whoever we played, if you look it up, it doesn't get the respect. Every guy on that team played in the NFL. It started and played. That's secondary. All of them played 8 or more years. Terrence Brooks, I mean, how good a player he was. I mean, PJ and Darby and Jalen and LaMarcus and Terrence and Telvin and Eddie and I mean the whole crew up from Timmy. I mean, all of them. I mean, on the offensive line, everybody played forever. And then that team does not get the respect and had the best kicker.
Yeah.
And our punter would have been one of the tops in the country. He just didn't punt enough. He didn't qualify enough. He didn't have enough punts. I mean, that team does not get the respect. And I'll put that team up with any team in the college football ever. I'll put that team up with anybody.
When you take a look at the 2014 team, do you feel like that team had lost its edge?
I don't think it lost its edge. I think a lot of the things that come with winning got to it. But I'm going to tell you that for that team to go undefeated, and that team could hit a switch like no team to play.
Yeah, I got the
to struggle and struggle, and then say, you know what, we got to score 3 drives in a row. Boom, 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 and could turn it on. Jameis used to get bored. He threw his picks that year. I think you have a freshman year. I always say this: when you have a freshman year, all right, when you're a young player and you just blow up numbers, you think, well, the next year I got to do better. Well, not necessarily. You got to make the right plays, whatever's in front of you. You can play better ball and have less yards or touchdowns. And I think Jameis pressed that a little bit and used to throw picks, but then he'd say, I'd say, Jameis, are we through with this? We got to score it. Do exactly like, got you, coach, and go out there. And not many guys could flip that switch back, and he could turn it. And then you had Rashad, and you guys, everybody would step their game up defense. You knew what we learned to do. Which I always say this, people don't understand this. Good players don't make you win. Teams have to learn. Winning is a learned behavior. Those teams already knew how to win. They just sometimes would let it slip out of their mind, and then they would revert right back and knew how to win. Winning is a learned behavior. Never forget that. You don't win because you got good players. You win because those teams do all the right things and have the right habits. And those teams still had those habits, and they could come back to them when they had to. And then I always said this: the Oregon game, you ever know the score was bad. But that game was nip and tuck, and we had Jameis went down on the one. He scored, and they called it back and said his knee was down on the half-yard line when he dove in instead of walked in. We missed the field goal. Dalvin had 2 unruly fumble. He had big plays, and they tipped it out from behind. We had 600. Those teams, and it finally caught up to us in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And we had a couple plays on defense. We dropped an interception here and there, and we had our opportunities. And Oregon was a good football team, and it finally caught up to us. We didn't do enough fundamental things consistently. We had some not bad habits, but the focus issues at times and some youth. But those teams were still. It used to amaze me as much as how we could flip a switch and come back in 14, as much as it did dominate in 13. As a coach, I'm going.
That's what I always ask myself. That 14 team in the second half versus that 13 team. That would have been an interesting matchup.
It really was, because the 14 team could switch it in that same mode. I do not agree. I disagree with you 1,000%. It was one of the most unique things, and we won 29 in a row. And then at the end of 12, when we had that part was part of that streak to win 29 games in a row, and then the games. And what's funny, then we had the long conference winning streak, and then finally got beat at Georgia Tech on a blocked field goal.
Yeah.
And we're kicking it and jumped off sides and had to move it back, so he wanted to kick it longer, so he kicked it flatter. And it got blocked, and then run it. That's how we lost the conference. We hadn't lost a conference game in 4 years. But those things, I mean, that's sports. It comes back like that. But it's always like I said, fundamentals. Greatness is doing ordinary things better than anybody else at the most critical times and moments of a game. That's what greatness turns into. It's not the fancy things, it's the ordinary things and the fundamental things. And that's what the 14 team could go back and do. You just wish it didn't put itself in that spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still, we had there were so many great talented players, but listen, we were fundamental, they practiced hard, and they knew how to win, and they would pay the price to win.